Hey guys, it's Jen, and I am here with a little video for National Scrapbooking Day. This video is for the Felicity Jane subscribers group on Facebook, and we're just doing a bunch of challenges. You don't have to be part of that group to play along if you're just watching on my YouTube channel, but this is going to be a recipe challenge, and I did another recipe challenge for the Scrap Gals as well, so if you want to check that one out, this one's going to be a little bit different. And a recipe challenge is where I just give you a list of supplies that you need to use on the layout. And so the first ingredient is something kraft. So that could be kraft cardstock, it could be a kraft die cut. You could interpret kraft as the color and use wood veneer or whatever you want. I'm going to use this little kraft pocket that came in a past Felicity Jane kit. I think some embellishments were inside of it. The next thing is something that you've been hoarding. So something in your stash that you have been like, you love it so much that it's hard for you to use, and I want you to use that thing. And for me, it's one of these two little, I guess they're acrylic pieces, and these are again from, I think they're from the January Felicity Jane kit. I can't remember what one that one was, but I'm going to use one of these or maybe both of them on this layout. The next thing is stamps. So whatever stamps, you could use a roller date stamp, you could use you know, any stamps that you have in your stash. You could use clear stamps, you could use wood block stamps, I don't care. You could make a stamp out of some foam or a potato or whatever you want, but just use a stamp. And then lastly is there needs to be something hidden on your page. So whether that's hidden journaling or there's like a hidden meaning behind something. So sometimes I'll include embellishments that mean something maybe only to me, or I don't know, something hidden. So you can interpret that any way that you want to. And because I'm using this little kraft pocket, my plan is to put some hidden things in this pocket. And because I'm using this photo of a tulip festival that we went to, this is my favorite photo that I took on that day, and it's really beautiful. And I want to use some of these papers with it. Most of them are Felicity Jane papers, but some of them aren't. And I have a bunch of photos from that day, but I decided that I wanted to use a whole bunch of them, but I didn't want to use them all on one layout because I want to focus on this photo. And these ones are just going to be a little bit distracting for me. And so as much as I love these photos, I want to be able to still see them, but I'm going to tuck them into that pocket so that I can pull them out in future and just kind of look at the photographs. And I think this is a great way to, sometimes we take photos that don't add anything to the story necessarily, but they're just pretty and we like them. And that's the case with these photos for me. I don't need them to tell the story that I'm going to tell. They are just additional. So I could try to make a layout with all of them on it, but what I'm just going to do instead is tuck the pretty photos inside this little pocket, and then if anybody wants to open it up and look at them in years down the road, they'll see some photographs that I took that I was happy with and that were really pretty of that day at the Tulip Festival. So that is my plan. I'm going to go ahead and put you on fast forward. So your goal is to use something kraft, something you've been hoarding, something that you, stamps, and something hidden. So make sure you hide something. And that is the goal, and I will go ahead and put you on fast forward and get this layout started.
Okay, so I'm going to start by just fixing up the trimming on my photo. The borders were a little bit off. And what I want to do on this layout is create kind of, I'm going to put all of these paper strips on top of one another so it creates little pockets so I can tuck things into them. So I plan to tuck the photo into one of the layers of paper and the little pocket into one of the layers. And so I'm just going to figure out a good way to kind of layer those up, and I'm cutting them at all different heights so that it can have kind of that that look of pockets going from smaller to bigger. And so I'm just using all of those patterned papers, all of them except for that little lavender plus sign one are from Felicity Jane past kits, and that little that little plus sign paper is from Maggie Holmes Bloom. So here you can see I've got kind of my photos tucked into those layers, just making sure that it's all going to work out. And what I'll end up doing is adhering the layers just with some double-sided adhesive tape from ThermoWeb, and I'm just putting it on the 3 sides so that it creates a nice pocket. And I'll do that on all of the papers, so each one will be a pocket. Even though I don't end up tucking something into all of the layers, I just like the idea of having the pockets. So here you can see I've got them all adhered down, and now I'm just kind of arranging things inside of it. And I'm thinking about putting that word today on the outside of that pocket there. And I eventually will change my mind about that, but I'm going to leave it there for now. And I thought it might be fun to take this little stamp from the Chloe Kit stamp set to stamp out some of those tulips and then color them in. So I'm sorry I was a little bit off camera there, but here I've zoomed in and I'm just stamping them with some black StazOn ink because it's water resistant. When it's dry, you can put water over it and it will work fine. And I'm just using some distress inks. I'm using, let's see if I can remember the colors. So one of them is actually a distress stain. Sorry, I'm just grabbing for it here to tell you the colors. In Seedless Preserves, and then I'm also using some Spiced Marmalade and Abandoned Coral, and those 3 colors are what I'm kind of mixing together to create the colors on these tulips, and I'm just trying to kind of match them to the tulips in the photo. So I'm just using a water brush to color those all in, and here you can see I have them colored, and what I'm going to do now is just hand trim them out. So I'm just going to use some little micro tip scissors to cut those out after they're dry. And I'm impatient for drying, so I'm using my heat gun to kind of get those a little bit dried up. And then I will cut them out. And I just love those colors together. I think they're just really, really pretty. So I'm using my Close to My Heart micro tip scissors to get a nice detail in there. And I'm thinking about just tucking them all into a row into the layers of paper that I glued down before. And I'll end up changing my mind on that as well. I'm going to play around with these quite a lot actually. But originally I thought I would tuck them all in. I gave myself a thumbs down there because I don't really like the way that's looking. Sometimes I feel like using the same sort of embellishment as is in the photo is sometimes not the right thing to do, and I'm feeling that here. So that little pocket, I decided to punch a circle, a half circle into the top of it just so it was easy to access whatever's inside. And then I'm using a little arrow clip to hold all the photos together and some washi tape around it to kind of create a little tab that you can pull them out of the pocket from. So now I'm just going to close the pocket back up and stick it in, and there's my something hidden and my something craft. And I'm going to go ahead and adhere the photo now. I think I'm ready. And I just put adhesive in the middle because I might want to tuck things around it later. So now I'm going to go back to the stamp set and see what other kind of stamps I can add. And there was a little stamp that said Breath of Fresh Air. And so I stamped that on top of the craft pocket. And now I'm thinking about what I might want to do for the title and also what I might want to put on top of that craft piece. I struggled a little bit with this layout and it actually ends up being a hot mess. You'll see at the end. But I'm thinking about what I might want to use for my title. And so I pulled out some letter stickers and nothing was quite looking right to me. And so what I decided to do is use that leftover distress paint to just handwrite my title with my water brush, and it ends up being a little bit crooked, and I think that's partially because I just can't write straight, but also because that craft pocket was crooked and it was hard for me to find the balance there. I should have used a ruler or something, but I didn't. So I just wrote out the words Tulip Festival in the same colors that I colored the tulips in, and now I'm trying to adjust that pocket so it looks a little less awkward. I'm going to end up using that 2016 little acrylic piece next to the words Tulip Festival because it was the 2016 Tulip Festival. And now I'm trying to figure out a way to fill in that space under the word festival. And here's where everything starts going downhill. I decided to fill in that space with some paint, and I'm just using some of that leftover distress ink to kind of paint in underneath the word festival. And then I continued it all the way down the other side of the pocket. And I really hate the way that looks, but I did it. So you can see I add a little bit to the left of the photo as well. And in theory, this is a good idea, and I have had success doing a similar technique in the past, but on this layout, it just did not work. I splattered a little bit of that leftover ink, and now I'm kind of cleaning up and moving on. So I'm gonna live with it for now. I'm gonna glue down that 2016 piece, and I'm using some Scotch Quick Dry adhesive in a fine line bottle. I love using that fine line bottle for my glue. It comes empty, and then you just fill it with whatever you like. So now I'm going to go back to those tulips and see how I want to arrange them on my layout. I thought maybe they would fill in the space on that craft card, but I don't like the way that looks either. It's too similar to the photo when I clump them all together like that. It's like I'm trying to recreate the photo, and the photo's just a much better version of it, so it just doesn't work for me. That little heart sticker does stay where I just put it. And I'm going to tuck a few things into the layers now. So there's a little date sticker, and I'm going to decide that I can tuck some of the tulips right next to these other little stickers that I'm tucking in, and that will work out okay. And then I can spread them kind of across the layout. So they do end up staying there, and I like the way that looks. And I tucked one next to that little craft pocket as well. And now I'm just looking through to see what else I might want to add. There's another stamp that I thought I might use. There's one that says grow, and I'm going to stamp that below the little heart sticker, and I'm going to end up writing my journaling underneath that. I used the black Stays On ink for that as well, just to add some consistency across the inking. I stamped the date on that little date sticker, and now I'm looking at it thinking, what am I going to do with this? So I decide that I am going to look for something to put on the craft cardstock there, and I'm going to pull a few different things out to play around to see what I can kind of fill in the spaces with. I'm still at this moment not loving that paint, and I'm going to try something in a little bit to change that. And I am just digging through some My Mind's Eye die cuts, and I'll find some Project Life die cuts, and my video is going to cut out, but I'm going to come back and talk to you about how the layout ended up and why it was such a hot mess. So here comes me talking again. Hey friends, so my camera died, which is unfortunate, but I wanted to share with you the hot mess that ensued because I feel like this layout took a turn for the worse after the camera died, and I had done a little bit of the painting up here to kind of fill in this space that was, because this little pocket was at an angle, it felt like this was really crooked, and it was a little crooked anyway. So I put some paint here to kind of figure that out, and then it looked lonely, so I put some paint over here, and then this felt like it needed more paint, so I put more paint, and then there was this space underneath the word grow, so I put paint here, and that's where things all went wrong. And I didn't like the way the paint was looking at all, so I decided to try to cover it up with some gesso, some white gesso. So the paint was brighter, as you probably saw in the video. It was more these colors, but a little bit softer. I tried to cover it up with some white gesso to just kind of like tone it down a little bit, which it did. So once I got the white gesso on, I kind of went crazy with it. And I felt like I needed more paint, so I painted more down here and right here, and I extended this a little bit, and this is something that I added, as well as all of this stuff here that I added after the camera went off. But yeah, I just kept adding paint, and then I kept putting gesso on it to soften it up, and I just am really not loving the way that this turned out. I think maybe with a softer color of a photo that it might look kind of soft and pretty, but with this photo I think I just missed the mark, and I am going to keep this anyway because I made it and it's done and it looks fine, whatever.
I'm not one for redoing layouts, and so I'm just gonna live with it, and maybe it will grow on me, I don't know. But yeah, really felt like I missed the mark on this one. But you can see where I took a little bit of the gesso and I went around some of the edges of these little elements just so they all felt like they kind of blended into the background a little bit. So the other thing that I added, obviously, is these. I don't remember if this was in the video or not, but I needed something on top of this bag down here, and so I added this sticker, which is from the On Trend 2 stickers, which were in the Felicity, Jane, Chloe kit. And then these two pieces were from Project Life sets that came with embellishments, same with this little piece up here. And so I added those as well. And this little See the Beauty that I added at the end, I just felt like it needed something more over here, and I like the way that it kind of ties in with this stamped word grow. This is from a Studio Calico die cut set. So like I said, this is not my favorite layout ever. I wanted to share it anyway because I know you guys know this already, but I just wanted you to know that not everything is perfect. I'm not perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect. And I'm okay to live with something that I don't really love, because sometimes it grows on me. And this is just about the Tulip Festival. This isn't like my most important story of my life. And so I'm okay with it, and I'm going to live with it. So I hope that you took on, or that you'll take on the challenge, and maybe in a little bit of a better way than I did, of using kraft, using stamps, which you can see I stamped here, 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 and then the little flowers are stamps. Using something that you've been hoarding in your stash, which is this little piece here. Now I also had the word today, but I ended up just using the 2016, which is fine. Then I get to hoard this for a little longer. And then, what was the last thing? Stamping, kraft, something hidden. So I have my photos hidden inside this little pocket, but I also think that this tucking things is kind of like, they're kind of poking out and hidden, so I would count that as well. So something stamped, something kraft, something hidden, and something you've been hoarding. So I hope that you'll take on that challenge and post it for us all to see. And thank you so much for watching this hot mess of a video. Also, head over to my blog today at craftyjenschow.com to see all of the places where I am sharing fun projects for National Scrapbook Day and International Scrapbook Day, if you want to call it that. And also I will be giving away some freebies on my blog as well. So be sure to head over to craftyjenschow.com. Thanks!